All right, Diesel heads, it's episode 4 of the Chronicles of Diesel, a ride through Vin Diesel's filmography in chronological order. My name is Ethan. With me here is Devin, who, as I'm sure you all know, is a 48-pound guy.
Hey kid, get the fuck out of here.
Oh, that's not the quote you're supposed to respond with.
I don't know.
It's the first line he says in the movie.
I watched Boiler Room 2 days ago, I'm sorry.
He says something like, actually it's 128, you slut.
I didn't write that one down.
That's what I was
There's
hoping
a lot
you would
of weird
say.
quotes in Boiler Room. Some of them racist.
Plenty of them. Yes, that is a Boiler Room reference that we just dropped here. One of the 2 movies we'll be talking about today on the Chronicles of Diesel. The other movie is going to be The Iron Giant. If you did your homework, you already saw both of these movies, and congratulations. All it takes is doing the stupid homework to get bumped up a grade. It's another reference to that other movie. See what I did there? So
Yes.
Yeah, this show is fairly new. It's a fledgling podcast. Subset of a podcast, if you might say. And on this show, we like to go through everything Vin Diesel. Before we get into what Vin Diesel has done in the past, let's find out what he's done in the present. Devin, I know you like to gather all of the Vin Diesel News Network stuff for us, so
Yes.
Why don't you tell me what sad things he's been saying on Instagram?
Well, yes, I told you before we started here that, man, all this stuff is sad. Well, in case you don't know, police are killing black people in America. I mean, they have been, and they're now getting caught on camera. And Vin Diesel started so every month we recap his Instagram as well for the news. I also look up articles if he's done anything like in terms of interviews or whatnot. We didn't really get much of that this month. But on Instagram here, his first post for June 2nd is a George Floyd post. He didn't have a caption with it, just had the picture of George Floyd, but it's super dark. I think we were doing it with I think that was the day where a lot of people on Facebook or whatnot made all their profile pictures black for Black Lives Matter. And then on June 3rd, the caption was, let us shine together as one at 9 p.m. Pacific time, #LeadWithLove. And he has a video with his kids, and he's talking about how they're going to shine flashlights at 9 p.m. In the sky for George Floyd. So yeah, 2 back-to-back sad things to start off June. And then on June 5th, he has a picture of him as Dom from Fast and Furious. It's him cropped out of, I'm sure, a scene somewhere where he's looking up, and it just says Ride or Die in the Fast and Furious font. And the caption is always. Because you got to remember that, Ethan. That is honestly probably the motto of this show, Ride or Die.
I mean, we'll be doing this show forever.
Until we die.
So yes, yeah. Ride or die always.
And then on June 7th, he's said this a couple times now. I mean, I wish we could interview him or something, because I want to know more about the Happy Creative. I know we've talked about it in the past, but I want to hear it straight from him. Where does that come from?
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
And it has a picture of him kneeling, and it's him looking up. He's kind of scratching his chin a little bit, and then it has in the background a picture of him from The Last Witch Hunter, which we haven't seen yet. So I can't really get too much out of this besides maybe he's thinking about the script, because we heard that there was a script last month that he read and was like, oh, wow, this is great. That's exciting for all you Last Witch Hunter fans. Maybe we'll be fans soon enough. When is that
we
again?
have Last Witch Hunter. The Last Witch Hunter is episode 22.
Oh, man.
So
see you in 2 years, right?
That's almost 2 years from the beginning of this podcast series, so we're not going to be fans for a while.
Okay. Well, then we can go back to this Instagram post. Maybe we'll have a trailer for the new one.
Yeah, you need to make folders for every single post he's ever done and sort them. And you need to make a Last Witch Hunter folder.
Yes.
So when we finally get to that movie, you'll be like, oh, on June 3rd of 2020, he said this.
I'm just
It
worried.
didn't matter?
What are we going to do when... I'm sure we've said this before, but it's just been a month, so I don't remember. But what are we going to do when a sequel comes out before we see the first one?
We watch the sequel.
Are you kidding me?
Yes, we have to.
I don't want to ruin my Diesel experience like that.
I mean, just tell him not to be in any movies.
Chill. If anything, this quarantine might be a savior. It's delaying all the movies that he's in.
I know, exactly.
Fast 9, remember? In an alternate universe, we've already seen that.
Thankfully, we've already seen all the Fast and Furious movies, so we would have been fine. We would have been fine, but I mean, I haven't seen any Chronicles of Riddick films, or I haven't seen any Triple X, so I know he's doing another Riddick. That
X4.
could come out before we finish.
X2. Just call it X2, like X-Men there. June 13th, he had a video where it was a very heartful message, I'll say, about how he he's very proud of everybody, like, for fighting racism and stuff, and he thinks that changes are on the horizon. Highly recommend watching it. I can't really, like, describe it too much because it's his own words, and don't want to take away from that, but I can tell that he was being, like, real honest there, but also still classic Vin, where I just am like, damn, what a guy. I love this man. I really do love this man. Like, I know we're only 4 episodes in, but I'm already in love. Like, this guy is just so sincere and just is so true to himself that, like, you can't. And like, if you say anything bad about him, I'll be like, no, fuck you. That's my boy.
Yeah,
that's my guy right there. All right. But
honesty is honestly something that I get from him.
Yes, 100%. He just wants to make people happy and laugh. He's all about love too. That's
you could also argue that he's so rich he doesn't have to lie or showboat anything.
I guess fair. We'd have to find someone who's known him prior to his fame, but the only thing we got is his movies, which you can check out reviews prior to this. We kind of discussed maybe how Vin was back then, and maybe still is. His last post that I have here was from 4 days ago for Father's Day. He says, "You all warm my heart. Thank you for the wonderful Father's Day wishes. To those who, for whatever reason, are unable to realize fatherhood, we got you." And he has a picture of a couple. It's a collage of him and his kids. Very cute. And it has like a Photoshop filter on there that, like, I've seen. Like, it's one of those ones you find in the what's it called? What's that setting called? Where, like, it just has like a bunch of, like, filters you can use. It just has one of those.
Oh, like overlays?
Yeah, like it's like a gloss kind of look to it.
Oh.
But that's it for his Instagram. But I do have a news story that I missed. This is from heavy.com back in, let's see, let me double check here. I think it was earlier this month. Yeah. June 1st, 2020, at 7:59 a.m. by Paul Farrell. So I guess there was a fake news post with the CNN logo and everything on Facebook that said Vin Diesel died in a failed stunt in his backyard. Yeah, a failed stunt in his backyard. And it had a CNN logo, and it was shared, I guess, according to this picture, 1.6 million views. So I missed this. I guess I have to get in the Facebook game. I don't really go on Facebook that often, but maybe I have to start following Facebook leads. But and then it came out that no, he's in fact alive and well.
Reminds me of back in, I think, maybe 3rd or 4th grade, a rumor went around that Jackie Chan died because he hit his temple with a nunchuck.
Oh my lord!
Or like, makes sense to me. I'm 7. Yeah.
And, like, people were pointing to the fact that he wasn't active on social media since May 23rd, so, like, he's clearly dead. And it just now came out. And I guess in the past he's been linked to a death hoax, actually, in 2018.
Interesting.
Dying in a stunt again. So if he ever dies in a stunt, I won't believe it
until he says so on Instagram.
Yes.
Yep, I died.
So yeah, that's all you really got for Vin news. I mean, I think it's going to be quiet for quite a while unless we have, like, a movie coming out. We do see that Bloodshot is coming back to theaters.
Yes.
At least at AMC theaters. So maybe we'll see a couple posts from him in July, and we'll get a couple extra dollar signs for our boy as well, hopefully.
Okay, well, thank you for the current 2020 June Vin Diesel experience. Let's jump back in time now to 1999.
Great year, dude. Great year.
Basically, hot off the heels of a pretty big role for him in Saving Private Ryan. In the year prior, 1998, Vin Diesel was casted in The Iron Giant, 1999 film directed by Brad Bird, which was Brad Bird's first full-length feature film. Basically, they decided, I don't think super early in development of making that film, which is based off of a book, by the way, that they wanted to have someone voice the Iron Giant. Originally, it was just going to be not computerized tones, but like deep metal grindy sounds.
Grunts.
Was going to be the voice, and they decided, we need to have a person actually voice this. But basically, as we discussed before this episode aired, Vin Diesel got it because, lo and behold, just like how everything works in this Hollywood world, someone saw something with him in it and decided he would be a good fit. They saw Multifacial, which we both agreed was a very good short film, and they said, "Hey, that's going to be the voice for him. That's going to be the voice of our Iron Giant."
It's our number one Vin Diesel role on our list.
I mean, it's his first. Okay, he's the title character, and it wasn't a movie he made,
Yeah.
So, yeah. So let's get right into it. Like I said, directed by Brad Bird. This film had a budget of $48 million.
Feels a little high for this kind of
but
movie.
if you look at it though, especially the opening of this film, they're doing a lot of CG and 2D animation, and I was legitimately impressed by how it looked during all of the opening. It wasn't until like we saw like in the diner scene that we first get to, where it was like all 2D flat people and environments. I'm like, oh, okay, expectations are coming back down now. This isn't like I know there was a Netflix animated film that came out for Christmas last year, entirely 2D, and the thing is just freaking gorgeous. It was up for Academy Awards. I think it actually won, if I'm not mistaken. It probably didn't, but it was up for it. It's this 100% 2D animated film, and it just looked so impressive. And then when I watch, Iron Giant here, this opening with they're seeing all the waves and then the trees, and it's a mix of 2D and 3D stuff, CGI stuff rather, and it's super impressive to me. So like I can see where a lot of that budget came from.
I just want to say though, in general though, just even though it does go back to like a 2D art form, I just want to say that like the color palette was, for what they were trying to go for a 50s almost monster movie. Like even the font in the beginning, the Iron Giant, like
all Art Deco kind of stuff too.
I just like how like in the intro of intro of the movie, it just says the Iron Giant, and it like slowly like crashes in, and like that's just like a motif you would see in all like old 50s giant monster films, where it'd be like the Gila monster or Godzilla or King Kong, any of those.
Yeah.
So I thought that was
and
cool.
I forget what it was they were referencing, but the Warner Brothers logo during that, it's referencing something from that era too. I forget. A lot of things Brad Bird wanted to reference, including Disneyland stuff, but unfortunately they weren't able to. Even something related to Fox. Some of the technology used to make films of the era that this film is based off of, at the 50s. This film takes place in 1957. Something to do with how cinematography worked back then for full-length feature widescreen films. Obviously, this is animated. They can make it whatever aspect ratio they wanted. This is the first animated feature film to use, I think the aspect ratio is 2:35:1, something like that, which a lot of these old films did. And Brad Bird wanted to put a nod saying it was made with that technology as like a joke, but that technology is owned by Fox and they rejected it. So
that sucks. I think before we even go any further, I'm going to say I like the movie a lot.
Yeah.
And it sucks that like this
I mean,
movie
you
could have
owned
been
it on
better.
DVD. I figured you liked
I mean,
it.
I've owned it on DVD, I think, since 2003, because I had the special edition and it said on the back copyright 2003. So I'm like, this is at least 2003, if maybe like 2005. Probably got it, but I've watched it plenty of times as a kid and always liked it, and now rewatching it again, I'm like, oh, I really like this movie still. And it's amazing to me that like you want to do more with it. I'd be like, I want a bird cut, dude. I want a bird cut.
I will say there is a signature edition of the film, which you probably have, because I know it was released later. That's the version I watched on Amazon Prime Video. I know that there were 2 scenes in the film. Unfortunately, I don't know which ones they were. They clearly weren't important. That weren't in the original film, but they were done as not sketches and not storyboarding, but like the stage in between a storyboard and this is the finished animated scene. Regardless, 2 little scenes are added in there. I'm sure they're not super important things. They could be something as simple as a scene with the Iron Giant doing something in between scenes or something like that to kind of like set a pacing thing. It doesn't matter. But yeah, so Vin Diesel is the voice of the Iron Giant. However, 4 other major voices were considered for the role of the Iron Giant. Do you know who any of these people are?
I do not.
Okay, so we have Sean Connery, a.k.a. James Bond, was considered.
Interesting.
That would have been huge.
I could see that.
Peter Cullen, who is Optimus Prime.
Oh, that would have been too... I don't think you could have done that, because all the kids would be like, that's Optimus Prime. Like, yeah.
Frank Welker, who is Megatron.
Okay. Name the next Transformer, please.
I'm not going to name a Transformer, but I'm going to name James Earl motherfucking Jones was the 4th
Of course,
option.
he's probably... That would have been their 80 million budget or whatever it was. That would
Exactly.
Have been 40. That would have been 40 at least.
Sean Connery or James Earl Jones would have added another 10 to that $1 million mark.
But I will say I'm glad they gave it to Vin Diesel. This is probably... I mean, we would have found it by now, or we would have covered it, but his first voice acting role, you know what I mean? And that's probably led the way for him to be Groot. And
I think that's literally why. It's like, oh, yeah. And he only has 53 words he speaks in this film if you ignore like all of the type of stuff he does.
And I think he does.
But it's still like a memorable.
Because I watched after the movie, because I had the special features on there. It had a cool DVD, like classic, like old DVDs. You know how like it had like a menu screen that actually like felt interactive in a way. I really loved it. But anyways, there was special features, and it had the voice of the giant, and I watched it. It was like 3 minutes, but it had Vin Diesel like doing lines, and it was so weird to see. I sent you a picture of it there. He's wearing freaking sunglasses indoors. I don't know why, but
you know why.
But he was doing like all the grunts and stuff, and I'm like, so he did everything, and I think that's cool. Like he just really gets into the character, monster rather. You know what I mean? And I think that's cool.
I'm sure this was a gigantic get for him. I mean, again, he is the title character. He's probably not considered the main character, but he's the title character. That's huge for him at this moment in his life. But so let's get right into it. Let's recap this film and discuss it along the way. Are you
we have
ready?
Another movie to do too, so
yes.
we'll probably
we have Boiler Room. So I will speed through it. Again, I have lots of pauses in here, so feel free to speak, and we will go as we go. All right.
Yep.
So after the Warner Brothers logo and a bold Iron Giant logo that you mentioned earlier, we're introduced to the orbital space of Earth in the year of 1957.
Great year.
Yes, indeed. Something shoots fast towards Earth, where it crashes off the coast of Maine. A boatman is lost at sea during the night of a big storm and crashes into the Iron Giant. After a tussle with the sea itself, we see that the boatman is safe on shore, and we cut to the next day in a small town called
Maine.
Rockwell.
Yeah, Rockwell, Maine.
Yep. Another tiny little fun fact, stupid little fun fact. There are a lot of Detroit Lions, like pennants and stuff around in this town,
I did not
especially in Hogarth's room. And the reason is because they were the biggest team of that year, and Maine didn't have a team. So this was just the reasoning. Oh well, they would have been popular here, I guess. You know,
Yeah.
If your state doesn't have a team,
NFL wasn't even around yet. I think it was the AFL and I think the NFL would have been not the NFL as we know it, but it doesn't matter. Just cool, like that fact. Let's go Lions.
So we're in Rockwell. Here, a young boy rides his bike to a diner to meet his mother. His name is Hogarth. I'm sorry. And he wants to convince his mom to let him keep a pet. He's brought the pet to show her, but it seems to have gotten out of its box. It's a squirrel, by the way, and while searching for it, he overhears our boatman from before telling the guys what he saw last night. And it's, no one wants to believe him and blah, 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 blah. Hogarth meets Dean, who has the unfortunate situation of the squirrel being up his pants. The squirrel causes a huge commotion, and we're now at Hogarth's house where he's staying up late watching movies.
Before that, even as a kid, he always reminded me of someone. I don't know who it was, but now I know.
Dean or Hogarth?
Dean. He reminds me of Ian Malcolm, a.k.a. Jeff Goldblum's character in Jurassic Park. I don't know why. He kind of has a Jeff Goldblum-ness to
I
him.
guess.
I don't know why. It's only for me. I might be weird. He just has a vibe.
To me,
he just has a
definitely
vibe.
is drawn like the self-inflicted outcast artist, the cool hip guy.
Yeah,
but
and guess who Jeff is? All right.
he's not self-outcasted. He's inclusive. He's inclusive.
I don't know. I would just every time now that I saw him, like, why am I thinking of Jeff Goldblum? I don't know, but
anyway, this kid eats a disgusting Twinkie that he puts extra whipped cream in it.
try
Several
doing
times
that,
throughout this film, I kept pausing it to write these notes down, and I kept getting all of these these stupid paw frames of animation where it's like in between, and this one was one of them where he's about to eat the Twinkie and he looks really dumb. But that's kind of funny. We get so he's watching a horror
Attack of the
TV
Killer
show
Brain
or
something,
movie.
yep.
Yeah, something like that. And we get the classic direction tool where a character is watching someone on TV being watched while also getting the feeling that they're being watched. The TV character says, "Who's there?" echoing Hogarth's thoughts as he looks around in his own house. I think that's pretty clever and good stuff. It's classic.
Reminds me of me as a kid when I was watching scary movies when I was way too young to watch them. Like, I think I'd be watching a scary movie and I'd hear maybe footsteps upstairs and I'd be trying to sneak upstairs without getting heard. Reminds me a lot of me as a kid.
I saw a quick little video on Twitter that is, quote, getting sleep paralysis at 3 a.m. right as, oh my God, George Lopez show starts, and it's just the theme song slowly going, and you're not able to turn it off, and then also a shadowy figure is slowly rising in the back of the room. Sleep paralysis sucks.
I've never had it.
Oh my God. I can self-inflict it on me if I get the feeling. So, quick little sidebar about dreams, and this is a 100% true fact. This is true. This is the way your brain and your body go into different stages of sleep. It is the bottommost layer of sleep. That's where you actually get the dreams. And sleep paralysis happens when you wake up, but your body hasn't actually started rising out of those states. That deep sleep where you get the sleep paralysis, your body is paralyzed because otherwise you would move and with your dream. So that's how sleep paralysis works.
Gotcha.
If you are having a dream, Devin, and you wake up, you are in the middle of the dream, now you're up. If you're able to manage to not move at all, and you go back to sleep, you will continue or reenact the dream again. And I've had this work for me like 3 or 4 times.
Sometimes it happens for me, yeah.
And I've also had that happen to me with nightmares.
Same.
Yeah, yes. And the sleep paralysis, unfortunately, happened because of that. So he's watching blah, blah, blah. So he's looking around his own house. As Hogarth attempts to fix the antenna on his roof, he notices that something has trampled through the area. Grabbing his BB gun, he heads into the woods. At least I assume it's a BB gun. If it was an actual rifle,
that's a semi-automatic AR-45 or whatever bullshit.
Finding an electrical station or something in the woods, the Iron Giant appears behind him and attempts to eat it. It appears to eat metal, but electricity hurts. As the station falls, everyone in town loses their power, and the Iron Giant is tangled up in wire. But Hogarth is able to turn off the station. There's a nice, convenient switch that says off. It's very, very regulated safety procedures. Anyway, the Iron Giant wakes up, and Hogarth runs away to find his mother. The next day, the power is back to normal, and in Hogarth's school, the class is watching some positive A propaganda. Some good old-fashioned duck and tugger.
Duck and cover.
It is at least funny that that's also referenced at the end of the movie, too, as if that would work.
I mean, people, I think, knew it back then. It was just more for kids, sanity, knowing whether or not, because we remember at that time period, people legit thought that, any moment the nukes can go off and that'll be it. It was an overarching fear,
Yeah, for sure. There is a few Red Scare type of stuff. I mean, I think there was, I don't know if it was a comic book or a magazine or something. Literally, it's called The Red Scare.
Yeah. I love the Cold War, dude. It's one of my favorite time periods because it's so long, but also just because the propaganda I just think is so interesting to me.
It's very tactile and tangible. At work, his mother serves coffee to Dean, who is then brought outside by the boatman to see a tractor with a bite taken out of it. And this is where we find out, I guess we start to kind of learn that Dean buys this kind of shit because he buys the tractor. Probably got it for cheap. We are now introduced to Kent Mansley, and I had to replay this scene 3 times with closed captions on just so I can write down his name because he says it so fucking fast. From the Unexplained Phenomenon Department. He's not a very nice guy, and he wants to get this over with so we can get back to important things. He does have a lead, though. Hogarth dropped his broken BB gun. Heading back to his car, he sees that his has a bite taken out of it. Then he wants to go show someone. Then the car is actually gone. And now he starts to take things a little bit more seriously. This is now an important thing. We cut to Hogarth trying to take a photograph of the Iron Giant by luring him with a sheet of metal.
Hey, metal guy. That's what he said.
Yes. I mean, it is kind of interesting he didn't try to give him a name. You would think as a kid, trying to make... I mean, there's a reason why we see him being introduced as him trying to convince his mom to let him have a pet. You know what I mean? Like,
hey, Tony.
That wasn't just... Yeah. So,
Tony Stark. Iron Man.
I mean, just call him Vin Diesel.
Yo, Vinny.
He falls asleep before not too long and wakes up to see the Iron Giant right behind him. And like at first it looks like, he ate the sheet of metal, but nope, he was giving it back to him. Running away, the Iron Giant follows. Realizing the Iron Giant is not here to hurt him, Hogarth attempts to communicate. And this is where we start to get clearly the Iron Giant doesn't know his language, right? So he's trying to teach him with things and blah, blah, blah. And we get the sense that he's very impressionable, this Iron Giant. I mean, later in the movie, they say he's like a child. I don't know if that's necessarily... I mean, the movie says it, so I guess, yes, if the movie says it, that's what it is. That's not the impression I necessarily got, but in any case, I don't know what your thoughts on that.
I was going to say, the audience knows at this point that it's not from Earth, but it has the technology to clearly get to Earth, so it probably just can learn, which is what happens. He just learns on the fly, so he kind of slowly figures things out.
We get a scene that jumps back and forth between Hogarth running through his head on what to do next, and Kent presenting his findings at the mayor's office. It is kind of fun back and forth. And it's actually, I'm kind of impressed, or at least, maybe not necessarily impressed, but it feels a bit realistic of like, hey, all right, he's going through, if I were to do this, what would happen? Okay, I can't just bring him to mom because she's going to freak out. And if I blah, 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 and then blah, blah, blah. Okay, I guess you just need to stay here in the woods. I don't know what to do next. Bye.
Yeah.
As Hogarth heads home, the Iron Giant follows. Eventually, Hogarth gets it across to him that he needs to stay put. But coincidentally, it's at the spot with train tracks, and the Iron Giant starts eating them. In a panic, Hogarth convinces the Iron Giant to put the tracks back together because a train is coming. But the Iron Giant gets hit by the train and breaks into smaller pieces. Thankfully, the train is fine. It looked like it was maybe just a...
killed. I mean, people got, injured maybe, but...
Was it a passenger train or was it just a freight train?
Yeah,
okay, that's what I thought.
Or something.
From this point forward, we're going to refer to the Iron Giant as Tig, because I didn't want to keep writing the Iron Giant all over. So I have Tig written. Turns out Tig can call his parts back to him and fix himself. It's convenient how he breaks apart into those kinds of pieces, but we also see that even a simple screw, granted it was to his jaw, so I guess it's an important screw, but even a screw has that signal in it, and it has the ability to be called to the head. So maybe it's just convenient that his entire foot came off and his entire arm came off. I mean, but at the same time, if he were to explode, at the end of the film, spoilers.
I was just gonna say, I didn't really care too much about the logistics of that. I was more just it's a monster movie, 50s monster movie. You gotta kind of throw disbelief, away, you gotta not think about it so critically, or it's so big its mass would crush itself, whatever, you know what I mean. So I wasn't too worried about that. At
the same time, we'd have to ding the Bee movie for that too, because bees cannot talk like Jerry Seinfeld. let alone fly. All right. We get a scene where Tig... I'm sorry.
That was such a weird reference.
I was trying to... It was like 3 levels of gotcha humor I was trying to pull, and I think I just ended up pulling it on myself instead of the audience. So, hey, fuck me, right? All right. We get a scene where the Tig hand is inside the house during dinner time, right when Kent is at the door to ask them if he can use their phone. Calling Washington, he tries to convince his higher-ups to assist him, but fails.
I like how
on his way out,
I was gonna say when during this whole conversation he turns around the oven mitt with the face. I just thought that was funny. Like I literally laughed out loud. I'm like that was goofy. I love it.
That oven mitt is a reference to another Brad Bird thing.
Is it?
It might even have been his own personal dog. I forgot what it was, but that is a reference. That oven mitt. Turns out he can't just get assistance from, the general and all of the weapons and stuff based off zero evidence. Who would have thought? On his way out, he realizes that Hogarth is the owner of the only physical evidence, that BB gun. Now convinced that Hogarth has seen more than he says, Kent leaves knowing that he'll be back later. And I'll bring this scene back up again later, but it's in this scene that we see on the
window there.
Window of the house that it says the room for rent. And later he rents that room. And I think that this was more than enough, not foreshadowing, but like set up to this for an adult like you and me. I wonder if maybe kids didn't understand. Because it's not like there was a scene where as he's driving away, we see him see the sign. It's just, if you saw it in the background, and it was a big sign, and I think it was, again, more than enough,
See,
right?
I saw this
for us.
Like I said,
I wonder if the kid got confused of like, wait, why does he get to live in their house now?
See, as a kid, I don't really remember. Like, I've seen this movie plenty of times as a kid, and I don't really remember like him, like me caring or remembering why he was there. And even then, like even now, I'm just like, they didn't even have to put that in, and I just can assume that like he's visiting because of government reasons, like he has a warrant or something because, or that his mom was just super nice. It's like, oh yeah, come on in, because she's a lonely single mom working probably 20 hours a day.
Yeah, there is a brief in the beginning of the film reference being thrown out that they are struggling financially because it looks like they own a lot of property, and they was working just off a diner job. In the barn that I just mentioned, Hogarth introduces Tig to the greatest superhero ever, Superman. This particular issue of Action Comics is number 188, which was released 3 years prior to this film's setting. It was a 1954 comic. There's a little Superman fact for you there.
Mm-hmm. And we also see in there I forgot what the...
Automo.
Yeah.
Atomo.
Yeah. An evil robot made of like atomic energy or something.
Yeah. Just like Tig. Tig is hungry, and as we stroll through the woods, we get our first Superman parallel, that the world isn't ready for him. He is something from beyond the stars. He is able to crush them all or help them be better people. But the world isn't ready for him. Hogarth says that. We now see Dean, who runs a scrapyard, tow an abandoned car that they were about to eat, and we now know where Tig can eat and stay because there's a giant scrapyard. Sorry, I was reading that really dyslexic. Tig is hidden, and Hogarth visits Dean. He is an artist that turns the scrap into metalwork sculptures, but most importantly, and this is the most important thing, the most important quality about a man. This is how I judge people, Devin. Mm-hmm. This is the number one thing. Okay. Some people are like, the handshake. No, fuck that. Are you a snitch? Dean is no snitch. He does not report to the authorities about people.
Dude. He's just a man in the woods at the scrapyard. What a life.
He probably doesn't even have a permit to own that scrapyard.
But no one's going to say anything. No one's going to say nothing.
Exactly. David's a snitch. As Hogarth tells Dean about himself, Dean gives us the story's theme. You are who you choose to be, not anyone else. A ruckus outside, and Dean meets Tig. Dean allows Tig to stay the night at the scrapyard under protest. The next morning, we find out that Kent has rented the room for rent in the house. Kent is a pest, and Dean thinks Tig is a pest.
We find out he's banging
both of those.
Banging his mom.
I mean,
what if they went that far?
Weird.
What if they went that far? Like, he wakes up the next day and he sees him like him in the same bed with his mom or something. Like, that would have been fucked. I'm glad they didn't, but
yeah. We get a back and forth between Kent being a pest to Hogarth and Dean upset with Tig being around, you know. In an attempt to get rid of Kent, Hogarth put laxatives into his milkshake. And that's another thing, too, where, like, does a child know? Like, I mean, the rapper said choke lax. You know what I mean? Like, that is definitely something that we as an adult understand, but I guess does a child need to know
kids
that
are watching this for the Iron Giant, you know what I mean? Like, they don't really care about plot points too much. I didn't remember any of this as a kid. I remember all the Iron Giant scenes and don't remember any of, like, the plot points for the most part at all. Besides, like, the nuke. Like, as a kid, I understood what a fucking death bomb was. So
yeah, Kent, a government official, basically a cop, gets diarrhea from a milkshake, and then they sue Shake Shack. No, sorry, not that last part. Turns out, whatever. With Kent out of the way, we see that Dean has had Tig work on art with him. Tig and Hogarth play a bit while Dean tags along. In a scene where Hogarth jumps into the river, Tig, the Iron Giant, follows suit, and we watch a raccoon drown. Basically,
I do like that scene too, where Dean's just like floating and just doesn't
over it.
And then we have the truck come up, and he's just like, "You're in the road."
Yeah, I know.
And he's like, "Yeah." He's like, "Okay." Just, and he's all soaking wet. I just like that scene. There's a lot of good humor in this movie. That still is
was
good.
that a river? Or was that like a little
lake
pond
or something?
thing?
Yeah, pond.
When obviously this didn't happen, but I mean, like if the Iron Giant is as susceptible to electricity as he is in the beginning of the movie, my thought when he was about to jump in, it was like, oh no, he's gonna rust.
But he was in the ocean,
something.
Dude.
Yeah, I didn't think about that. Never mind. Bad Ethan. Took me 3 hours to watch this film. While searching for the Iron Giant, Tig, Kent finds Hogarth's camera and develops the film, which is probably super illegal. But I guess if it's an investigation, I guess it's fine. I guess. And he sees Tig in the last photo.
Oh no.
Oh no. In the forest, Tig meets both a live deer and a dead deer. And we get a brief flash in Tig's emotions.
Souls don't die, baby.
Yes.
Ride or die. What if he said... He's like, ride or die. And that was actually where the quote was from, not from Fast and Furious.
This is where we get one of the themes of the film is an anti-gun type of theme, because he said guns kill, and
it was more of like an I think just weapons of mass destruction, which was a popular thing in the 50s.
I say specifically guns because Brad Bird. Now, granted, this movie is based off a book, but not really. A lot of it is Brad Bird making it what he wanted. And the theme of this movie came from, and I guess inspired by, but it's kind of dark to say that, it's based off the fact that Brad Bird's sister died in a domestic gun violence issue from her husband. And so Brad Bird's, I guess you could call it a pitch, was what if a gun didn't want to be a gun?
Okay.
And so that's what the Iron Giant. So that's why I specifically say gun, because that in Brad Bird's,
yeah, if that's what he was going for. Because I saw that as like just weapons to kill, just in general, are bad. Because I mean, even like a lot of 50s monster movies, that was always like the thing, being like, we created this. Godzilla literally that's his whole point, was to be anti-atomic weapons because they're made to kill people, and we shouldn't be. Or it's like it's made to just wipe things off the planet, and that's just too far. You know what I mean? So, but I could definitely see how it's anti-gun too. But I just assumed since it was in the 50s, he is a being from outer space that is also a weapon, you'd assume that, like, oh, yeah, he's meant to wipe out the human race, probably.
At the scrapyard, Hogarth teaches Tig about the circle of life. Will you die? Yes, maybe someday.
It's always good to tell kids, too. I think a lot of, like, kids' movies don't really talk about death. Or, like, I feel like, at least in America, we don't talk about death in the way, like, other cultures do. I mean, Coco, I think, does it the best way. I don't think we'll ever see a children's movie, like, explain death to kids as well. But for 1999 and this movie, I feel like it's good to put in there, at least.
Lion King kind of did something like that, too, at the beginning, but it kind of mostly justified why the lions get to rule everyone and then also eat them.
Yeah.
You know, that's a thing that movie glosses over real quick. If I was one of those antelopes, I'd get the fuck out of there. You're not going to be my king. You want to eat me. As Tig dreams, his dreams/memories get picked up by the TV signal at Dean's place, and we see flashes and brief little moments of who or what Tig is. We don't really have much to go off of, but basically, yes, he was created to destroy. He was created to destroy. As Hogarth makes it home, Kent interrogates him and threatens to have him taken away from his mother. They spend the entire night staring at each other. The army will arrive in the morning. They both fall asleep, though, and it's implied in the next morning that Hogarth was able to sneak out and warn Dean before Kent wakes up. And he was. The army arrives at Dean's scrapyard and sees an art sculpture that Tig is a part of, and it fools them. And Kent is bye-bye. Basically, he's like, hey, we spent millions of dollars getting this thing, getting all this stuff over here. You wasted millions of dollars.
And just people's time in general.
You're fired. You're fired. Fooling around in the scrapyard, Tig pretends to be Superman. Hogarth pretends to shoot him, and seeing the fake gun, it triggers Tig's attack mode or whatever. In a state of confusion and fear, Dean calls Tig a giant gun, and Vin Diesel says, "I'm not a gun," and runs off, just in time for snow to fall.
I'm not a gun. He says it like that. Just like that.
He doesn't say the word "a." That adds to the 53 word count. We don't want to. We want to keep that under 10 half dozens, aka 60. Hogarth chases after him, and Dean realizes that the sight of a gun triggers Tig's defense mode. They ride after him on a motorcycle, like badasses. Feeling sad, Tig slowly walks through the snow, and some kids see him. They're up on top of a building, and they fall off. Dangling by a strap, the kids call for help, and Tig rescues him really quickly, maybe potentially even injuring people, but he rescues them. As Hogarth gets to him, the army attacks. Because they see, hey, this 100-foot tall robot is moving.
And I like how they just go straight into just unloading on him. It wasn't like a one soldier maybe like thinking of shooting and then like Iron Giant gets too close or something. They just went in, didn't care anything about civilians, even though they're saying
it. I mean, it's that Red Scare fear of like, if we didn't make it, it's not good.
And it's like, it's funny that like they're all talking about protecting people, but yet they're going in, didn't give a fuck about evacuating people, or like at least they didn't show any like extra troops like trying to get civilians out. But they just went in launching missiles at them. They had the Air Force coming at one point. And I'm like, what? My God, they just.
I mean, they have a boat off the coast of Maine armed with a nuke.
True. This is definitely some Cold War shit.
Yes. Dean tries to convince Kent to stop shooting because he has a kid in his hands. And Kent twists the words in repeating it to the general, saying, no, he's killed a kid. Tig is chased by jets, and we learn that he can fly, but he is shot down.
I don't get why Kent at this point, too, is doing all this. Like, it just seems like a pride thing at this point. Super selfish. Because it's like, you already proved you were right. Like, you can just be like, okay, yeah, maybe he is a good robot. You know what I mean? Like, no, let's just blow it to smithereens, and I don't care at what cost. And it's like, kind of confusing for him to be doing that. I don't know. Kind of weird.
Tig thinks that Hogarth is dead, and he goes to retaliate on the army, and he turns all super scary. The army plans to nuke Tig, but Hogarth wakes up and he is able to calm Tig down. But and this is the scary part. The general says, "Okay, don't do the missile," and then Kent grabs the walkie-talkie or radio from him and just commands the launch of the missile.
And everyone just was like,
we're dead.
Like, and like the general was just like, we're all gonna die for our country. And I'm like, no, you're not. You're dying at the behalf of our country.
Well,
like,
I think
I'd be pissed
that was. I don't think he was saying that in general. I think it was because Kent was trying to run away, and he's like, "No, motherfucker, you're gonna die here with us for your country."
And I like. And
that's how
and
I
they
saw
said I think it was. I felt it was kind of weird. Like maybe they should have made it more humorous, I guess. But at the same time, the situation did feel pretty bleak. Where I was just like if I was a kid, like I would have been like, oh shit, well, what's gonna happen? You know, like this doesn't seem like a very fun moment or anything like that. But I like how Dean's just like, oh yeah, there's no need to like hide ourselves. We're all gonna die, and everyone just seemed like, well, just wait out this. Like no one was like screaming or anything. I found that interesting.
Yeah.
Like no one was like people will be hysterical, being like, no, we gotta try to get in shelter
or just run.
Yeah, or people would just try
I mean?
running to see maybe they can outrun the blast or something. But no, they're all just like, okay, well, just another Sunday or something.
I wonder if having a huge amount of panic might not have been something they would have wanted to do in a animated film for children.
Yeah, but
I don't know. So the Iron Giant flies up, and I want to point this out because we know, obviously, in that moment, we know that he is going to stop the missile. To what degree, we might not know, but we know that's what he intends to do. That might not necessarily be understood by people on the ground, and they might think that, oh no, this motherfucker's just bolting, you know? But he flies up and he explodes the missile in orbital space, and I like his last lines are, "I'm Superman."
And I feel like this was just a good moment too. I mean, my girlfriend Bryn, she was like getting real sad. She's like, no, because she hasn't seen the movie, or she might have a long time ago. But she was getting real sad. I'm like, and I was a little sad too. I'm just like, imagine like your giant robot friend, you know, that you, because it sounds like he doesn't have too many friends. Forgot the kid's name. Hogarth.
We skipped a scene, but yes, he's always picked on and being
like now your only friend who's also like Superman or whatever. He's going to fly up into space and save everybody. Like I was like, damn, like he really isn't a gun. You know what I mean? So
yeah. He chose who he wanted to be. Hogarth also says "I love you" to him as he flies away.
Real shit right there. It's real shit.
And the Iron Giant is dead. And that's literally where I stopped writing notes for some reason. Obviously, I remember the rest of the movie.
I did write this where it like pans after it seems like a couple of weeks have gone by or whatnot, and Hogarth's playing with some kids. He made friends, yay, at the park. But there's an Iron Giant statue, and by the way, this is the only statue we want in this country.
I mean, yes,
but I do like how it had a cardinal on it. I only learned this recently. My grandmother taught me this, but I didn't know this was kind of a thing. But people always say that, at least older folk, I guess, have always said that a cardinal means that a loved one or past loved one is watching you or like watching over you. Like it's a sign of, the spirit is here. And I'm like that touch was real nice. That like, oh yeah, the cardinal to the statue, as if the Iron Giant is still watching over them, even in death. I thought that was real cool.
Yeah. And also Dean has swooped in on Hogarth's mother.
That's a good matchup. I like it. I don't know.
Well, I mean,
at the same point,
worked out
how
for
is
us
he going to get any money though? Because they're already broke, and are they going to go live at the scrapyard?
I guess it doesn't matter. I mean, Brad Bird believes some. I don't know how much, but he believes some libertarian ideas about great people deserve to be great. And it sucks when society hides them. Hey, that's The Incredibles right there. So he does have some of that kind of stuff in him, but he doesn't put all that kind of politics in regards to fucking over poor people in his films. So maybe this was just him just not being, showing it. But I actually did think that the matchup, it works film-wise because we are first introduced to Dean in an interaction with Hogarth, and we like him immediately.
Yeah,
and he likes
he's
Hogarth
a chill
immediately. So it's not
figure. Like, just good vibes.
Yeah, I mean, yes. So, and we get a little tiny pre-credits post scene there where Iron Giant survived. He's up in Russia somewhere,
Iceland,
or I guess the Soviet Union. Oh, Iceland, was it?
Yeah, it was super quick, and I remember that whole scene as a kid, but I didn't remember that it actually told you where it was. I always thought, like you said,
because hey, Maine has snow too.
It was in Siberia or something where just like not many people are. But Iceland works
and,
too, like northern.
And
Iceland.
Hogarth knows this because he had been giving one of the bolts, and the bolt starts to react. And man, that thing has to literally roll through the ocean to get to Iceland.
There's a will, there's a way.
Exactly.
Maybe a fish will eat it and swim towards Iceland.
I mean, as we see, he doesn't need all of his parts to gain consciousness and walk again. So he misses a bolt. Who cares?
Yeah.
He can still fly. So yeah, there's that movie. Let me just do some quick little fast facts I have left. I said most of them throughout the recap here, but before we get into our next film and some rankings, but we skipped a scene. This is where Hogarth is at Dean's place for the first time, and he's talking to him, and he's drinking espresso, and he's talking really fast, and he's saying, and I had closed captions on, I had subtitles on, so I was able to read all of this in case it might be hard to actually know what some people are saying. But he's basically saying, I got pushed up a grade because my mom says I wasn't being challenged enough, but it's just because I was at top of my class just because I did the stupid homework and no one else did, and so now I'm being picked on. That entire scene, everything with that espresso or everything he's talking really fast, that whole scene was animated by Brad Bird personally. I don't know why. Maybe he just wanted to do it, but that scene was animated by him. This is the first 2D animated film, which we would, I guess, call traditional film, to have the title character be completely computer generated. Now,
there you go. There you go, Vin.
What's it called? Beauty and the Beast. And The Little Mermaid a little bit had CG in it, but they were environments and they were brief. Like the ballroom scene in Beauty and the Beast is a CG set that they kind of rotate.
Yeah.
So then there's that. Additionally, so we talked about original suggestions for people to voice the Iron Giant, but I will say, for the voice of Dean, Warner Brothers originally wanted John Travolta, and guess who they wanted to have voice Kent Mansley.
I'm trying to think early 2000s, late 90s.
Oh no, you want to think maybe 80s.
80s. I'm not really good with actor names in general.
Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Arnold, dude, movie would have been incredible.
The budget would have been 3 times higher. It didn't make its money back.
We would have had Vin Diesel, Arnold Schwarzenegger in the same film.
James Earl Jones.
And he would have added more like Fox stuff in there to make it more like an old 50s film. Dude, give us the bird cut, dude.
Yeah, I know.
Let's get this trending. Everyone says Snyder cut. Fuck that, dude. We want the bird cut of the Iron Giant.
Yeah, this film only got its not advertising, marketing 4 months before it actually came to theaters, and that's one of the main reasons why people think that the film didn't make its money back, was because they didn't really market it all that well. Like as an example, around this time also Tarzan came out, Disney's version of Tarzan, and they were marketing that film for a full year before it came into theaters. So
I'm gonna say this, that like this movie, I looked, like after I watched it, I looked, and it had a 96% Rotten Tomatoes, and I think I would agree with that. I really like this movie a lot, and like this is something if I have kids, I'll show them this because I think it is fun and it has a lot of just good humor that's for adults and kids, and I just think it's overall like besides some like small little changes I would make, like I don't think this movie is there's no like bad moment or dull moment where I'm like, oh, this is whatever. Like it was
Yeah.
fun, and it showed you the monster right away, so it's good for kids' attention. You know,
Yeah, for sure. I agree with all that stuff. Do we want to wait to rank this film
I say we
and its
rank it
stuff
now
at the end,
and then
just so we don't forget?
yeah, and then we can add
So,
boiler room.
as always, we do two different rankings. We rank the movies themselves, but because hey, this is the Chronicles of Diesel. If you didn't forget, he voiced the Iron Giant. We also do a Vin Diesel performance ranking. So we're gonna do the movie ranking first, and then our Vin Diesel ranking. Before we talk about where we think this movie lands, why don't we recap where these movies actually lay? So we've done 4 movies so far. This would be our 5th movie, The Iron Giant. And their ranking so far in our official movie ranking is number 1, Saving Private Ryan.
Mm-hmm.
Number 2, Awakenings. Number 3, Multifacial. And number 4, Strays.
That's correct.
So, Devin, where do you think, personally, you would put the Iron Giant?
I think I gotta put Iron Giant either at 2nd or 3rd. That's where I'm feeling right now. I just don't.
Me too.
I don't know if I want to put it above Awakenings or not.
The only reason why I am hesitant to put it above Awakenings is less the Robert De Niro, oh, this is a beautiful film type of stuff, and more so because I really liked Robin Williams in that film.
Yeah.
And again, all these films are different, really, so it's hard. I definitely agree it's not number 1. It is either 2 or 3 to me. It's either 2 or 3 to you.
I just think, see, Iron Giant to me is just, it's, part of me wants to put it on 2nd only because it's such a movie that you could put to anybody and anyone can enjoy it. Awakenings you can't show to a kid, or like, I feel like I have to be in the, like, that movie is emotional. It's like, Iron Giant can be emotional, but Awakening is like another level of emotion that you need. Like, I would have to be mentally prepared for to watch that film because it is super sad. And then, of course,
unless you didn't know that going in.
Yeah.
Like we didn't.
So part of me is just like, those are so hard to compare. Like, I really don't know. Like, it's honestly like,
I think let's do number 2.
I was going to say Iron Giant, I think I'd watch again before Awakenings. Not saying Awakenings is bad, but it's just that movie I think I'd have to be like, all right, we're watching Awakenings again. Like, when the Iron Giant, I'll be like, oh, I could throw that on,
yeah,
while I'm working and not feel, miserable, or if I'm missing out on anything too much. You know what I mean? Awakenings is a heavy drama. Iron Giant is a fun movie with a good message. So
I think we have it here. Iron Giant is now, or The Iron Giant, sorry, is now number 2 in our movie rankings. Right. It goes again for the seats in the back there: Saving Private Ryan, The Iron Giant, Awakenings, Multifacial, and Strays. If you want to know more about our opinions on those other movies, go watch our other episodes, or go listen, rather. So now, let's talk about Vin Diesel's performance in this film. I think it was basic, based off of the amount of stuff he was able to do with the role. Mm-hmm. Being an animated film about a character that barely speaks. And it's not like he's motion capturing anything, it is basically just how well he does is based off of the kind of inflections and gravitas his voice is able to bring, and if that can resonate emotion in the audience. I think he does a good job in it. Yeah. If he does, then he would do a good job in it. I don't think he's did a bad job, personally. But I don't know if I want to immediately jump on it was a good job. To me, I go back and forth between it was good and it was fine. I don't know. What are your opinions on it?
I was going to say, I felt that I'd lean towards good, because like there was moments where he did show emotion and like speak emotion, and after watching him like record it too, like I think that kind of, I don't know if it's kind of cheating, but I felt like I can tell that he like really invested in himself into the mood, the character, and into the mood of each voice line that he was doing. So I would say it's closer to good, but I can kind of see fine because he didn't have that many voice lines. But this is gonna like we gotta remember what we're saying here, and once we get into Guardians of the Galaxy, because you gotta remember that's coming up at some point. I mean, and he only has 3 words.
He has one line. He just says it a lot with different motions.
Yeah, so Groot am I?
Yeah.
But I would, like just from keeping that in mind, and I know like we can't really rank that yet because we haven't watched it, but we have both seen it at least once or twice. And it's like I feel like Iron Giant is gonna be more memorable than that. So I feel like this is like when I think of Groot, I don't think of Vin Diesel, but I feel like the Iron Giant, I'm gonna think of Vin Diesel before I do with Groot, in my opinion.
I could see that.
And there was moments where I could hear Diesel more too, but I don't know. I was gonna say give us the rankings for the Vin Diesel performances.
Yes, I was about to. Yes, yes. The ranking for our Vin Diesel performance so far is number 1, Multifacial. Number 2, Strays. I won that battle. Number 3, Saving Private Ryan. And number 4, Awakenings. And again, if you want to know our full opinions on those, listen to our other episodes. I swear you won't be completely disappointed. So, where do you think?
This is
I think it's definitely above 4.
Oh, yeah. Awakenings will be dead last. I can guarantee you by the end, unless
he does something so terrible and unforgivable in one of these films.
Even then, though, it's still just more. He didn't say a line. I guess it'd be
more interesting.
He just didn't say a line in Awakenings. He was in it for 2 frames. So
I should just all right now, I'm on the spreadsheet here, which I should send you an updated copy. I have it go up to 6 because that's where we're at right now. I should just have it go all the way up to 31, where the list so far ends, and just put Awakenings there point, because it's never moving up. Yeah, so I guess okay. So do we think it's at least better than Saving Private Ryan?
This is so hard to tell because you're comparing voice acting to acting.
It's tough, right? It's tough. And again, I should have said this at the gate, because you own the DVD and you've seen it a lot, as you mentioned, but I never saw the film before. I don't know, maybe you could have, listener out there, understood that from how I was doing the recap, like how I said I thought he would rust, but so this is my first time seeing it, so I didn't obviously know this going in. I just knew it was, he was the voice of the Iron Giant.
See, I didn't know it as a kid,
famous.
Obviously. Like, I didn't know actors. It wasn't until recently, probably in the last couple of years, I was like, okay, that makes sense, though. That makes total sense. I don't know if I want to put... See, I have to take
I think I don't want to put it above Saving Private Ryan.
Yeah, but part of me is like, am I thinking that because Saving Private Ryan is such a great film? Like, I'm trying to just pull his character out where, like, I feel like I'll have to put it above only because, like, he doesn't get a good chance to really develop that character too much. When Iron Giant develops as a character, and I think he does a good job of it. Like, showing emotions. His only emotion really in Saving Private Ryan is... funny
when he gets shot.
Funny dude who's going to war, but then also when he gets shot, give this to my mom, and like I feel like he doesn't give a full. Like we can't really see more to that, but how much is that because of the writing? You know what I mean? And like I think he executed that well for the role he was given, but I also think that goes back to what you just said, like. As him as Iron Giant you would say was fine to good, when in Saving Private Ryan, I say is
especially
right.
compared to, sorry to interrupt, but compared to, again, like I didn't know anything about, I hadn't seen the Iron Giant, but going in I knew, that Vin Diesel was the voice of the Iron Giant, and that was like not a big thing, but that is that you would put that on the front page of his IMDb list. Yeah. Like, he was like best known for, and you'd put that on there. And I don't think it necessarily lives up to that sort of attention that we give it. But yeah, I'm sorry. Go on.
No, but the fact that you said that, do you put Saving Private Ryan on that list? Because when you think of Vin Diesel, you think of Fast and Furious, Chronicles of Riddick, and I think you'd have to say Iron Giant, no? Like when I didn't remember he was in Saving Private Ryan either, until I rewatched it again, or till a couple of years ago, around the same time I figured out he was in, because I was just looking up his filmography, and it's just like, oh, he's Iron Giant, the voice. I'm like, oh, that's cool. And then Saving Private Ryan, I'm like, I had to really think about it. I'm like, oh, he's the guy who gets shot by the sniper.
Yeah,
that's my thing in Saving Private Ryan. So to me,
I guess to me it boils down to, does the couple monologues he has in Saving Private Ryan, are they better than this character in this movie?
I don't think Iron Giant is better than Strays and Multifacial, just because he's in the spotlight the entire time, and he's physically acting. And not saying voice acting isn't lesser than physical acting, but just there's more
and
him
also,
in it.
those were films he made, so
He's
he
in that.
put his all into everything in it, so you could see that. Yeah.
I agree
with
Iron
you.
Giant.
I could see either 3 or 4.
I say Iron Giant third.
Okay, we'll do that. Iron Giant is now number 3. So now our list goes as follows. Multifacial is number 1. Strays is number 2. The Iron Giant is number 3. Saving Private Ryan is number 4, and Awakenings is number 5, or I guess number 32.
If we ever get Vin Diesel on this show, like somehow, and we
just read our
list, and I want to say if he agrees with us. I'm sure he'll say everyone is number 1, that he appreciates every role. But I'm like, no,
and I don't think any role is that so far, has not been deserving of a spot on the list. I guess it sounds kind of dumb to say. I don't know.
Yeah.
But
like, I would love to know, like, be like, hey, we
None
debated Iron Giant, Saving Private Ryan. Which role was more, to you?
Yeah, they're a year apart. This was a 1999 film.
So which one was to you the bigger deal? I mean, I guess I would probably say Saving Private Ryan, only because Steven Spielberg. Of course, he'd want to work with Steven Spielberg.
Yeah. Also, Saving Private Ryan is twice as long as the Iron Giant. So.
True.
All right, so I guess that's the Iron Giant. Do we recommend the movie? I recommend the movie.
Yeah, 100%.
I think Devin recommends the movie.
100%.
Yeah, good film. All right, so now on to Boiler Room.
Time to boil, baby.
Yes.
Wish someone said that in the
movie. Released in the year of 2000, a pre-9/11 New York film. And I forgot to look for the Twin Towers in some of the shots.
There was. I saw them.
Really?
As soon as I saw it was in New York, I should have guessed since it was the stock market, but like as soon as I saw it in the New York, I'm just like, I feel like all our movies we watch somehow relate back to freaking 9/11 in some way, and it's 9/11 did a number on us, dude. I'm telling you.
Directed by Ben Younger, who has not really done any other movies. He's done a few, really? But nothing of note. So it's not like a name. Yeah. A budget of $7 million, quadrupled in the box office to $28 million. So, very good. Obviously, we mentioned this a little bit earlier in the episode, but the guy who played Seth, whose name I did not freaking write down because I don't know, I forgot, but he was in Saving Private Ryan. So this is kind of interesting that Vin Diesel and him already knew each other, had being on set before.
Maybe that's how he got the job.
Because they were both not important characters. So yeah. All right. So let's do our recap. Stock ticker text gives us this movie's title, Boiler Room. And basically, yes, so either you're slinging crack rock or you got a wicked jump shot. We get a narration from Seth about how he wanted to get into something big and make money off of it before it fizzles out. We see a bunch of stockbrokers like Seth in a bus doing lines and placing bets. They're all heading to this big like convention area. This big, I don't know if it was a mansion or a hotel, but like it was probably a hotel. Something big like that. We learn that Seth has gotten into an investment firm owned by Michael Brantley. And these guys are wild. Everyone's in suits going nuts over the buffet and the attractions. They have one of those like putting things, like games, we see Vin Diesel here.
He's dancing up the stairs, dude.
Yeah. Yes. Yes, we see Vin Diesel here. They're watching like horse racing, and someone says, "Oh, that this jockey he's the best. He's 48 pounds." And Vin Diesel's like, "Try 138, you slut." It's pretty good. Now we didn't know that they knew each other, so like when at the beginning of this movie, we're like, "Damn, he's just this random guy just calls you a slut." But he says that a couple times. I think they all kind of say that, like a slut.
I think everyone in this movie, we're supposed to think that they're terrible people because they are.
Yes. I mean, yes. Honest to God, except maybe the mom and the FBI. Everyone is not shown.
You're not supposed to like
neutrally positive.
So if
light.
you came out of this movie being like, "Man, I want to be a stockbroker," you did not get the message of this film.
Like anyone that's like, oh, like Fight Club or Breaking Bad or Rick and Morty. Oh, the main character is the guy I aspire to be. Like, no, you saw the wrong thing. Also, Wolf of Wall Street, too. Which, hey, I should probably mention this right now. If you thought that this movie seemed very familiar to Wolf of Wall Street, it's because both films are based off the biography of Jordan Belfort.
Oh, so I haven't seen Wolf of Wall Street. It's on my list of Leo classics to watch.
It's a basic kind of stock market person rising to fame, and the movie is wild. He smokes cocaine out of a woman's butthole.
Been there, done that.
Sling that crack. Rock. Okay. Michael Brantley makes a speech about how they've avoided regulation. They have 100% trading authorization. He also says that the few guys that had made sacrifices to be audited or something. I don't really remember what it was supposed to mean. Some of this stuff went over my head. Not gonna lie, because it's said very fast. Like, yeah. It seems like some of the people, and I think Vin Diesel was one of them. Volunteered to be audited, and that because of that they weren't able to do the regular trades, but now they're all in the clear and they're getting hookers, I think.
Yeah,
Michael picked
I
them out
wrote
personally.
down for this scene, I wrote sexual harassment and wow, racist scene.
Yes.
I don't really remember too much besides, a white guy dropping the N-word. No one really knew what to say. I forgot what the sexual harassment was, but it was probably... No, actually, I do. Wasn't it like someone?
Oh, he one of them kisses one of the women waitresses.
Yeah. Don't do that, please.
Yeah, they're all on coke and they're all living that high life, making tons of money. Apparently, because they're not actually making tons.
They're all
of money.
Millionaires, Ethan.
Yes. Seth is asleep in his apartment, and guys come over to play blackjack, watch sports, and all of that. We learn that college kids from Queens come over in between their classes to basically lose their money to Seth. He runs basically a casino, an illegal casino. I guess all casinos are illegal. I didn't know you could...
Yeah, so I guess I learned that... Because while this was going on, I was like, wait a minute, so can you just not gamble? Like, me and you can make a bet that tomorrow the Lakers win, you know what I mean? And no one has to know. I don't think that's illegal, but I guess it's illegal if you're making a profit off of it. So if, like... He was hosting a game and like all of us threw in $50 and then one guy took it and left because he won. That's one thing. The fact that he was getting a profit off these people, that's where it's illegal. So I learned that out of this movie.
Yeah, and I'm sure there is actually good reasons behind it, but I'm like, well, he seems to be doing a good job and it's not like anyone's mad. I would just not want to have all these people in my house
all the time. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. So a knock at the door. Seth sees an old friend named Adam and a new guy named Greg. They begin to play blackjack. These guys are high bidders, and Greg starts to get to know Seth. Seth is really good at talking, basically.
Yeah.
Right. The next day, Seth visits his rich parents. Turns out Seth has dropped out of school, but has been lying about it. His dad is a judge, by the way.
And he's pissed. He's definitely a toxic masculine dad who's like...
but he's also doing something illegal, So
I get it, but also like he just treats him like garbage through this entire movie until the end. Because you're allowed to be redeemed for being pretty shitty.
Well, I don't even know if it's necessarily that he is redeemed.
That's what I'm saying. I don't think he is redeemable even after that.
That night at his house, Seth talks with Adam and Greg. Greg wants Seth to work for him. A day or so later, Seth drives to Long Island, but I swear in this montage of driving, I swear I saw a downtown Rochester building.
Maybe.
Building that's near the Kodak building in there. It has a circle on it.
Oh, you mean the UFO looking restaurant there?
No. It's like ground floor, windows, blah, blah, blah. Like other regular kind of office things where it just looks like a sea of rectangle of glass,
Gotcha.
But this one particular thing had a giant imprinted circle, and it was on the ground floor. And I'm like, I swear next to the Kodak building, there's a building like this, but who knows? Obviously, this takes place in Long Island, so not Rochester. So he's drives to Long Island. Here he's at an investment firm for an interview, and he sees all of the action. There's people literally doing lines and gambling on the floor. Vin Diesel is here too, and he tells him to get the fuck out of here.
Kid, get the fuck out of here, he says.
Yeah.
Great line. Fantastic.
Yes. He also meets Abby here too, the secretary / receptionist. Then, as they wait for their interview, Batman himself walks out, and he means business.
You want to get money in Gotham?
Ben Affleck tells them that this isn't an interview. We learn that this isn't really an interview. This is a sales pitch. If I was one of these people, and I didn't realize that, like, we're being scammed or conned, you know what I mean? There's no negatives to what Ben Affleck says other than the fact that he expects you to work your fucking asses off and know you're not getting vacation.
Like, let's say I got out of college. Like, I don't know, I'm not a business major, but I've gone through the college experience and gone to some group interviews myself. There's some red flags. If I'm going in, the guy just starts swearing his ass off and tells people to leave. You know, those people are jerks. He could have handled it like 10 times better. He's like, if you guys aren't going to be adults, you can get the fuck out of here. And I'm like, you could just say, hey, if you're going to do this, like, don't even bother showing up. Like, please leave. Like,
but this is a place where men are here to make tons of money.
This whole scene is toxic masculinity. This whole movie is toxic masculinity.
Oh, for sure.
And money. And
but at the same time, I loved Ben Affleck in this scene. I like all Ben Affleck scenes.
Very young looking.
Yes. I don't know if this was necessarily the era where he was sleeping on Kevin Smith's couch. But this was definitely that era of Ben Affleck.
Now he's dating Ana de Armas, right?
Yep. The next day, Seth meets his father at a diner, and it doesn't go well. It's basically like, what the fuck did you bring me over here for? And Seth is like, I don't know. And then it ends, right? Just should have had a plan, Seth. Especially since you're about to con all these people.
And then after that, there's a hip-hop song that was in Madden 09 that I remembered. Because I heard the piano stinger or whatever it was, and I was like, oh shit. I'm like, this is Madden 09 soundtrack. It's funny to me.
There's a lot of hip-hop in this film, and none of it is compiled anywhere, interestingly enough. But it doesn't really matter, because this isn't like a movie I would think you would get a soundtrack for,
dude,
necessarily.
You don't listen to Boiler Room soundtrack, dude? It's freaking fire, dude.
That Monday, Seth goes back to the firm. He has the job now. Lots of hustling and bustling. We see that Abby, the secretary, has broken up with Greg. Several brokers are on the phone, and one in particular is speaking Russian, even though Amazon Prime Video just calls it a foreign language. Like, this is clearly Russian.
Thanks, Amazon.
But okay, because there are times where, like, and obviously it's not Amazon that does the closed captioning themselves. I get it, but there are times where I'm like, no, it's speaking in Spanish, or saying this in Spanish is like one of the things that pops up, but speaking foreign language is all that popped up for me. So Greg gives Seth his first leads for potential clients and lays it out to him about the job. A trainee like him is supposed to sell the idea of getting a broker to one of these potential clients, so they will have it on their mind later when an actual broker calls for them. It's about just teeing them up to be interested in the idea, not trying to win them over right away, just trying to set them up. And also, this movie I don't think it does a super well enough job at doing this, although I don't think it necessarily needs to. tell us all about the laws and regulations about Wall Street, essentially, and being a stockbroker.
Yeah.
But, like, if you don't have the license to do it, you are not allowed to do it. It's illegal. So all these trainees are legally not even allowed to do it. And that becomes a little bit of an issue later on in the film. But as you see in this film, this is a Wild West type of building. And, hey, they'll bend as many rules as they want because it's all a fucking scam.
Yeah.
So, yes, a trainee is supposed to just simply sell the idea. But there are 2 rules. You do close. You don't let someone not do anything. You don't want to go so fast that you hang up the phone and then they will never hear from you again. And they also don't sell the women. Don't even let a woman get on the phone.
Yeah. Which is...
Very... But I mean, if you notice too, like, I mean, all these people are obviously white dudes. They're all, I would assume, very classically stereotypical college Republicans.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I think Vin Diesel's the only, like...
But as we see, he can pass as Italian, and he is supposed to be Italian in this film.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying is, like, besides him... Like, I mean, I think there is Jewish people, like, that they throw a lot of anti-Semitic
Greg and
slurs out there.
Greg and Seth are Jewish.
That's correct. Yeah. Okay. So I mean,
and a lot of
for the most
people are
part,
Italian.
95% of them are white dudes.
Yep. So yeah, and also if during this setup phase, this first initial cold call, if the person actually does want to do a deal right then and there, you shout Recco, and an actual senior broker will try to get it first. And that does happen at one point, but we'll get there. The next day, we're back at the firm, and Greg has more lessons for... Oh, wait, sorry, I skipped a spot. Basically, that night, Seth talks to his mother on the phone, and his mother and his father are actually proud of him. That he has a job. I'm wondering why they don't think, hey, you dropped out of college and you don't have a degree in anything related to this, obviously. How are you able to be a stockbroker? But
yeah.
Whatever.
Well,
they're just proud that he has his shit
mention
together.
at the diner scene there that, like, not the diner scene, but they go out to eat again later on with the whole family.
We're about to get there, yeah.
And he mentions how, like, he's getting training and stuff or whatever.
Yeah. The next day, we're back at the firm, and Greg has more lessons for Seth. Here we see Vin Diesel again, and we get a one-race Easter egg. I don't know if you caught this, but someone says to Vin Diesel, get your one-race hands off my deal or something like that. One Race, as we know, is Vin Diesel's production company. So if you didn't know that, you kind of, I guess, could have sounded like it was a racist thing.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that. I just assumed...
it was a One Race Easter egg that they were making. That night, Seth and his family is at a diner, and they ask Seth questions about his job. He leaves, and he's basically, it's all going well, and then it brings up the casino thing, and it upsets Seth, and he leaves. He leaves early to hang out at either Greg or Batman's house. I don't know which one it was supposed to be. And we find that the place is barely moved into, but he's been there for 8 months. This, again, is starting to... We know that this is shady fucking shit. This whole operation, right?
Yeah.
This is starting now to sow some seeds of, okay, he doesn't really actually have a lot of stuff, but he lives in a big fucking house.
But nothing to
You know what I mean?
It's the point where, like, you have so much money you don't even know what
He
to
has
do
a
with it.
Lamborghini. He's a Lamborghini, you know? But it's trying to apply to a lot of these people are actually broke as fuck because they're riding high and they're so fucking excited to get paid that they end up living month to month anyway. Which is, considering the stress they probably have at work, is probably not worth it. So the next day at the firm, Seth manages to get a reco, and Vin Diesel does a pretty good performance here on the phone. I actually really liked this.
I think out of all the things we've watched up until this point, this is like his best scene I think we've seen from him.
I think this will be, a unanimous at the end of this, potentially, where we put his performance. Yes, he was very good here on the phone. It was a pretty long scene, and I think he carried it very well. And he makes the sale, yes. Yes.
I also like at the end of that monologue, I wrote down lip balm. It's like a little thing that, like, he was...
Yes, he puts it on real close to Seth's face.
Well, he's like listening to him, and he's just like doing it. And I'm just like, that's like something that like you don't like. Some actors will just do the line right and just whatnot. I can guarantee you that Vin Diesel probably added that in because you know him. He likes to add things to characters or whatnot. It was even in the Vin Diesel one. There he like they're doing like the kissing thing, and I'm wondering if like he was the one who started that or whatnot. But or you know he's flicking cigarettes or something like that. Just like little stuff like that. Or when he was throwing the apples or whatever,
eating apples off the ground.
Yeah, just like little stuff like that. That like I appreciate. They add just a little flavor to it.
Yeah. At a nightclub, Seth meets up with Abby. They've been kind of flirting a little bit.
Little flirt.
Now they're there, and a parallel to this is also at a bar. Greg and a few other brokers, including Vin Diesel. His name is Chris, but I kept referring to him as Vin Diesel through this whole thing.
I wrote Vin.
It's
I wrote
fine.
Bar Vin gets in fight.
Yeah, exactly. And a few brokers meet up there, and then they get into a fight with some J.P. Morgan brokers. Also, Seth and Abby are connecting about their common daddy issues, and they're actually, I mean, there's some common ground you got there, some daddy issues. Also,
nothing.
She gets real close, starts to hold his hand.
Nothing
at the
more
end there.
flirtatious than me telling you about all my problems on the first date. Nothing.
I know.
Hey Ethan.
Also,
did you know that I have
he does bring up
crippling depression.
Yes, I did know that. He does bring up like how ask like how come you still work there? Wouldn't you not feel safe with all this gigantic toxic masculinity? You know, and you are not only the only woman. Well, there are secretaries or people to answer the phones. I guess they're women. They are women, so I guess that they are a part of this ecosystem too. But she is like an important person, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And she's also the only black person there, at least that I saw. Again, Vin Diesel's supposed to be Italian in this film, so he doesn't count for this. So yes, like, didn't you feel like that's not, like, how are you actually comfortable working there? And she says no, but do you know any secretaries that make $80K a year? He's like, only one. It's her. But considering the fact that like Batman was saying, oh yeah, after 3 years you will make $1 million. Isn't her salary going to be a little higher? I don't know. But at the same time, she has a salary.
Yeah.
So maybe she's off better than all these other people.
Because you have to actually work. You're basically working like...
They get $150 a week.
Yeah.
It's all commission based.
Yeah, in New York City. I like. Granted, this is 2000, but still, 150 is not that great back then.
No, and that's why he was also continuing to run his casino. But we get some problems. We're about to shut it down, to be honest. So the next day, Batman gives fashion tips, and Seth is getting better at the phone calls. Batman basically says, "Hey, your outfit sucks shit. You need to dress like you own this building." And that's the confidence. It's good. It's like
give him no
both
money.
a dickish thing, but it's good confidence. It's like, hey, no, like if you dress like you fucking are my boss, you will act like that on the phone, and that's what you want.
Dress
so that's
to
good.
Succeed, they say, right?
Yes. Yep. Dress as if.
Even though I'm working right now in my pajamas.
Yeah. Same. What am I wearing on my t-shirt? I have a spring break.
I'm wearing a t-shirt. New York, 1953. Look, we did a movie in the 50s, and now we're talking about New York. Coincidence? I don't think so.
Damn.
Yeah, crazy.
We also did a movie that aired in 1999, like my shirt says. Include me too, please.
Mm-hmm.
We also get a fun scene where Seth gives sales advice to a newspaper phone call. Although he is a jerk at the end. But I think to be this type of person, you kind of just have to be a jerk. I think you can't really try to hold on to any nice guy morals when you are such a terrible person on the phone.
A con artist.
Yeah,
100%. That's all you're doing.
At a pub, the trainees and brokers bond, and Greg takes Seth for a ride back to the firm in his yellow Lamborghini. He gives some good advice. This is where he basically says, hey, pretty much everyone that works here is living paycheck to paycheck because they're stupid with their money, even though we're supposed to be the smart people. Don't live like that. also stay the fuck away from Abby. Because he starts to kind of know, but like it's weird. In any case, Seth thinks he left his keys in the office. I think it's actually a bag he went to go back and get, but he left something in the office. So he goes inside, and he sees the compliance officer shredding documents, which is odd. Basically, and I don't really know too much about how actually investment firms work, but they need someone there to make sure nothing's illegal going on, and that's what the compliance officer is supposed to be doing. But as I don't know if it was Ben Affleck's character or if it was Greg, or maybe Vin Diesel saying, this guy does not give a shit. He is here to let us do whatever we want. He has the easiest job in the world.
I wonder how much this happens in real life. I can guarantee you a lot more than we think. I mean,
well, this was based off of a biography. I bet to a degree this actually happened.
Because if it's one guy, who's to say you don't just slide him a couple extra hundreds or something a month?
Well,
you know,
yeah, we'll give you 50,000 extra a year to ignore everything we're doing. Cool.
And you get to masturbate in the office, which is what
apparently
happens, I guess.
Yes, but he sees this guy shredding documents, which is very odd. So we cut to the FBI planning an operation to take down the firm, and they plan on doing it by going through Seth. They kind of recognize that Seth is the smartest one of the new trainees. Seth is already better at doing his sale calls, all that kind of stuff. So they're gonna try to get Seth down, and then they can use him to testify. Seth shuts down his little casino. He has a spat with one of his employees, I guess, and it's a little weird to have people inside your house when you're not there, but at the same time, where else would you have an illegal casino? It has to be property you own, or you know what I mean, like where you'd feel safe. So whatever. I'm sure he has lots of safes to keep his valuables, to keep his Nintendos and PlayStations.
Mm-hmm.
Seth makes a sale under Vin Diesel's supervision, an actual full-on sale, but that's against the law, and it pisses Greg off.
Did we say that? No, never mind.
Greg knows that Seth and Abby are a thing, and that double pisses him off.
You're one of us now. You've popped your cherry. That's that. Yeah.
Yes, they cut his tie. Basically, it goes back like it's. Greg is both the bad guy in quotes, or an antagonist to Seth's career, but also the person that seems to have the most respect for the job. If that makes sense, like he is not upset that Seth made a sale because Seth made a sale. He's upset because he broke the law and it might get them all fucked. That he did it.
He's also, I think, just impressed that he's that good already, like at what he's doing. You know what I mean? He just has
a little
natural
jealous
talent. You know what I mean?
He took his girl, and he might be taking his spot on the job. Yes. Seth sneaks back into the office after hours to investigate some things, and Abby's there, and they talk. I rate that in quotes because they fuck.
Is this where he says? No, never mind. Do we say that Richie fucks up the dude at the bar? Like, real bad? They go to another bar.
Yes, no, that is because that already happened. Because after that is when Greg drives Seth to the office. Because a part of the conversation about how these people are living paycheck to paycheck essentially is sprung off the fact that they're idiots, and Richie is one of them.
I forgot to write
that's where it came from.
And then Seth says, "I'm just looking for chocolate love." I wrote that because I thought that was awkward as fuck.
Yeah. Is he the reason why I'm not hitting that? Is another line. Yeah. She says, "Oh, honey, you were never hitting that."
So many weird and raunchy lines.
Yeah. Seth is making money moves now and closing sales. They're in a different office now. They're not in that initial first office space. They're in the other room because one of their team members made a lot of money and the whole desk gets to go, I guess, whatever. Vin Diesel calls Seth to ask him where they're going to celebrate Seth passing the Series 7. In Vin Diesel's car, Seth starts to question how their firm is able to make the large amount of money that it does. And Vin Diesel's like, don't ask that question.
Don't ask, don't tell.
Just enjoy the ride for what it is.
Ride or
don't
die.
ask the questions. Yes. We get a fun scene where a couple of the asshole brokers go back and forth with a gay couple at a fancy restaurant. And I say it's fun because the scene ends with the gay guys winning, in quotes.
Yeah.
Like, it's the last line, you know. And it also helps, too, that, like, some of the broker friends, because it's Richie that, instigates the actual stuff, because when the other table asks them to keep it down, most of them are like, oh, yeah, okay, sorry. But then Richie's like, hey, fuck you, But it does help, too, that, Vin Diesel and some of the other brokers were also, like, saying, oh, that was funny, he got you, you know what I mean? So... It wasn't
it's all
like
good fun, dude.
because that could have been a straight up super toxic masculinity scene. You know what I mean? If they wanted to make that, that's what I thought it was going to be.
Over the top. Like I was waiting for an F-bomb to be dropped for sure. Like as soon as it happened, I'm like, oh no, please, don't do it, please. And then
Vin Diesel, don't do this to me again. It happened last time. Another scene now. We see one of Seth's new clients at home, and the film and this film starts to question this firm's legitimacy. Basically, there has been one of Seth's clients. His name is Harry Rodder. Harry, we'll just call him Harry, whatever, that's his name. Who has been conned, because we see the full con, into just 100 shares. And now his wife is like, wait, you didn't want to talk to me about any of this first? Like, well, it was only $800. Like, if this is a small investment, if we lose it, we lose it. I don't need to talk to this guy ever again. But, if it does work out for us, then...
Damn, $800 too. Like, it's a lot of money.
Yeah.
Still back then, it's even more money.
Now, granted, they did have $50K in the savings. So I guess compared to that, it's a small amount. But yes, yeah, I mean, that's why he wanted to talk to his wife first. And we don't sell the women. That's why Seth did not want her on the phone. So, Seth is soon to pass all of his requirements to be a major broker at the firm, but his suspicions are getting the better of him, and he goes to the firm's next door building. It's empty because he sees Michael, and I think it was the compliance officer heading in there. So he goes in there and just sees phones on the ground. He hides behind a pillar and sees that Michael and the compliance officer are talking about what they have to do to keep this illegal operation going. In 2 hours, they can move to this building. They're all set up to do that in 2 hours. They can be selling again in 2 hours if someone comes for them. Then, quick scene, the FBI guys grab Abby. So... Seth needed 40 accounts closed in order to become a senior broker, which then allows him to be completely independent. He does not have to actually be doing sales for anyone else. Mm-hmm. He does them all for himself. He closes his 40th account, which is technically for Greg, and has a spat with Greg, because Greg is about the rules, but at the same time to spite Seth. But all these rules can be bent. They can all be broken. This place does not care, because the only person that wins in the end ultimately is Michael.
I was going to say, Vin here too comes in and says, like, just give him the 40th. Like I gave John and Alex, or whoever their names are, their 40th. Like, it's kind of like a tradition kind of thing at this point. And he doesn't get it, even though it was a big whale, they say. So
yes. Yep. Yes, and this comes back later, because wasn't this 40th also Harry again? I'm not sure.
I'm not sure.
Yes. Yes, because... Wait. Because at one point, Michael comes out and says, hey, Ferrotech, the rip on that is $3 now, which is big. So everyone's going to just try to start selling it. And hey, we might learn why. Because he gets... no, we're not at that point yet. Sorry. Back it up. Okay. Michael comes out and inspires to the firm. He talks about a new company called MedPatent and how it's going to make the firm rich. It's going to make them filthy fucking rich.
You're all going to be millionaires again.
It's even going to help people. They go out, and we're back at the beginning of the movie. So, which was weird to me because I was expecting like that to be a pivotal point, but it actually wasn't.
Yeah, like I thought like something was going to happen that night.
Midway point.
You know what I mean?
I thought this was the end of the movie.
Or I thought the FBI was going to bust them that night. You know, like at the hotel, like it was a what's that term?
Oh, a setup.
Yeah, setup. There's a term for it.
Sting operation.
A sting. Yeah, like I thought maybe like they're all going to get busted or something, but nope.
We see a scene where Seth sees that MedPatent might not be legit. It's basically an empty office. Why they even put MedPatent on the building at all seems a little suspicious to me, but maybe they needed to for legal reasons. Yeah, and we cut to Seth and Abby talking at the docks. Because if they wanted to keep it a secret, they just wouldn't have... Like, oh, actually, that's the wrong address. If any one of the brokers actually went to go look, oh, sorry, that's the wrong address. That's just... whatever.
They're moving in later or something. Or
Yeah, something. You know what I mean? Instead it's like, this is here, whatever. But Seth and Abby are at the docks and they're talking. And Seth knows how Michael makes his money. Basically, Michael fronts all of his friends' businesses and creates markets for their stocks that don't actually exist. Some of these don't exist at all. Some of these are actually him doing favors for his friends. But basically, again, just like at the beginning of this film where it was the group interview was actually just a sale to them, every single one of them are customers to Michael. Essentially, they're buying all of this shit and then just selling it again. They're basically trying to make a market for these stocks, and then once they've sold enough of them, it's artificial demand because they just say it's really popular. Again, these are on the phone conversations with people that they find. No one is going to them. They find all these people. So these people don't know what they're really talking about if they are talking about, stocks.
Yeah, exactly.
The only people that know in that conversation are these brokers, in a sense. So as soon as the quote-unquote demand goes away, the stocks plummet immediately, and they make out like bandits. Because, again, all the money just goes back to Michael again.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, so Batman is mad. Only Seth has made his 40th sale since all the trainees became brokers, and he tells them to step the fuck up. He is very mad. He's also 27 years old. Handsome. Seth's nervous client calls Seth. Yes. So Harry calls Seth to get out of his stock because, hey, guess what? It dropped 86%. Because of what we were just saying. And he's trying to rip the Band-Aid. But Seth keeps him on the hook. He gets the guy to spend his $50,000 they had in savings that was supposed to be for their down payment for their house.
Why would you ever?
Yes. I mean, again, because Seth is just so good at being on the phone. The FBI has Seth's phone tapped. They hear all of this. And even the FBI guy's like, damn, this guy is good. Like, if you count someone out of their life savings like that, you're good.
Yeah.
And then this is
no guilt either. Just no guilt till maybe later on, but in the moment, there's none. You're just like thinking about yourself. It's crazy.
Sorry, this wasn't the moment where it dropped 86%, but this was the moment where Michael comes out and says the rip, which is basically their cut on each share, is up to $3, which is insanely high. So everyone is trying to sell the Ferrotech stock, and that's why he gets them to do the 50,000. Seth meets his father at the park, and his father has figured out everything. What was the firm called? JT Milton?
It was like really close to JP Morgan, but not.
Yeah. It's a chop shop. Basically, they are selling junk to people. They're conning people. And he realizes it's like, you lied to us. This is all you're ever good at, type stuff. Later, we learn that hot stock that everyone has been selling has dropped 86% because they stopped pushing it. And every client is trying to sell. Greg tells the brokers that they are not allowed to sell. If someone tries to sell, you just hang up the phone. They're not allowed
So
to sell, which is
dirty,
illegal.
dude. Yeah, and makes sense.
But yes. I mean, nowadays we can do this all electronically. We don't even actually have to talk to
through
someone.
our sponsor, Robin.
Yeah. They're probably going to crash. I actually was reading one article. This one pundit or whatever was speculating that Robinhood might crash.
Hope not, because they still have money.
Seth goes to his father's office to beg for help. His father's a judge. I mentioned that earlier, so he has a really nice office. He wants help getting out of the firm, but he doesn't just want to quit. He wants to scam them on his way out because he doesn't want this investment of time to be worth nothing. Even though it's been, I don't even think a year. Because
I think it's like I know it's over 3 months, but
I don't think it's too much over.
It'd be like 6 months tops.
Maybe. Like, that's not a huge amount of time, dude. It's okay to walk away from that. I've walked away from more than that for nothing. I mean, this guy dropped out of college, so it's the same kind of thing. But he wants to scam him out, I think, for $300,000. His father says, "No, I'm not going to do that for you, obviously." Later, Seth talks to Abby at her place, and she tries to get him to just walk away from the firm without telling him that she's actually been compromised by the FBI.
Yeah, basically blackmailed to cooperate and.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, right.
And then so she's trying to drop a hint without actually saying, "Yo, the FBI is." Which I think at that point, if I was really her and I really cared about him, I've been like, just whisper it.
She doesn't know if her apartment's
write
been
it on a
tapped.
note.
Yeah.
Easy.
Yeah, the FBI is also scary in a pre-internet world of what they can do. So I'm sure, I don't know. But Seth's dad has a change of heart and calls Seth to tell him that he'll help Seth get away with his scam. He knows a guy, you just go here and blah, blah, blah. Right after this, as Seth and Abby talk in the car, the FBI grabs Seth and arrests him.
Big oof.
Yes, sir.
You can just tell in his face, too, that like, wow, you set me up.
Yep. Well, she didn't know that they were going to arrest him.
But like in his at that moment though, he probably feels like, are you kidding me?
Betrayed. Yep. Did you bring me here just because you knew they were going to be here? That kind of thing. Yeah. The FBI also has his father, and they're trying to get Seth to testify. Everything would be fine, except his father would obviously lose his license or his position as a judge, basically. Instead, Seth makes a deal to get them everything they need to know for full protection for him and his father. And if I was the very smart FBI people, if I was a smart FBI man who has been watching Seth scam people on the phone, talk his way into getting people to do what he wanted forever, basically he is just being sold this idea. I would have been a little bit like, okay, if he was also trying to trick us, how would he trick us? You know what I mean? But
yeah.
And honestly, there's a lot of emotion in there that I think is probably not something he could do maybe on the phone. You know what I mean? So like they believe him, and I mean his father's livelihood is on the line in a sense, and as well as his. So basically, he is going to have to back up his computer on some floppy disks.
Some flops
as well.
Teraflops.
Yep. Basically, he needs to get them as much information as possible to prove, so when they do their big FBI raid, that it's not going to be illegal, you know? Because the FBI can't just do a raid on a business or a thing that has 100% legal stuff going on unless they have a warrant. FBI raid doesn't need a warrant if after the fact it has been proven that illegal stuff was going on, you know?
Yeah.
Right. Obviously, it would be kind of weird if, like, we think you guys are illegally scamming hundreds of thousands of people for money. We have a warrant. Can we come in? Like, no,
bye.
Yeah, if they know what's going on, that So I get that. I get it. In a long scene, Seth tries to get his client his money back. He goes to Michael's office and swindles him and Greg. This is how we go back into the, well, you didn't let me have my 40th client. That was him. He's your client. Don't you want him? He's a big, he dropped 50,000.
He also comes in the room being like, just assuming it was about what's her name there?
Oh, Abby.
And
yeah, personal shit.
Yeah,
which only makes it worse for Greg. Just good. Also, Michael is just working on the floor in this, but whatever. He owns everything, and he's scamming everyone. So in his mind, they're all idiots. And this is interesting too, because throughout this, we don't actually see Harry at all, and there is a reason for that, Devin, and I will get to that after the movie.
There's a reason, huh?
There is a reason, yes. But yes, he wants to. This is the last thing he does. Just get Harry his money back. We do see a scene, by the way, of Harry's wife taking the kids and leaving because clearly her husband has fucked his family. Like, I too completely understand.
Oh, I would leave
where
too,
she's at.
If
I don't feel safe. What the fuck, this guy? And he's in the room. Like, we see that after they leave, that he was there the whole time in the corner, losing his mind. So after he swindles Greg and Michael, he starts to copy his computer files onto what should be in real life a set of floppy drives. Is actually just one floppy drive, and it takes like 20 seconds. In reality, that would have taken forever to do that. Floppy drives are only several megabytes, and I'm sure there is spreadsheets upon spreadsheets upon spreadsheets in that computer that he needed to copy. But movie magic. I was also pretty tense, because all it takes is for some person to see that he's copying files
and like
on his computer to
they did a
raise
good
suspicion.
job of raising suspicion too with
Greg.
With Greg just like being like, what the fuck is up with that guy?
Just dog eyeing him. And at the same time, like, you go from having such confidence and bravado on the phone and just in general, and now he's just quiet
and sweating,
and he looks tense. Yeah. So, on his way out, he passes a note to Vin Diesel, who meets him in the stairwell. Seth tells him everything. He tells him that the FBI will raid the building in 20 minutes, and he wants Vin Diesel to, as a senior stockbroker, that isn't him, sign a sell ticket so that he can get Harry's money back as the last thing he does before this all happens. Vin Diesel is just like heartbroken, but at the same time, he knew it was going to happen eventually.
Yeah,
you can't just not question how any of this works and not think it might be illegal. But so as Seth walks out of the building, the FBI begins their raid. Sounds like I'm going to have to get a job.
It's funny that like no one even bothers like stopping him. Like, he actually almost gets hit by like the bus or whatever that was. I think that was going to be arrested. Like, that's where they're all going to be put into to be brought to jail or whatever. Like, I know like they knew he was going to be there, but like, if I'm driving in, I see a guy leaving, I'd be like, wait, pull him over just in case. Like, we don't know if it's just him, but whatever. It's the dramatics of the scene. I'll let it slide. And
I'm sure they also have files on every single person there. I mean, clearly, because they knew how to single Seth out as being the smartest or whatever. So it wouldn't have done any help or any favors to tell Vin Diesel to get the fuck out of here right now. Because that's what I thought he was going to do. Like, hey, just do this one nice thing for me and let's get the fuck out of here. But obviously they would have just chased Vin Diesel down. Because he was one of their big people. He was making more money than Greg was.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the movie.
And it ends with that one song there that takes the Godzilla theme as a sample.
Does it really?
Is it dun 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 dun? That's the Godzilla theme there. Yeah, It's Pharaoh Monch. I think that's how you pronounce it. The song is called Simon Says. I've heard it before a couple times.
Let's do a couple fast little fun facts here before we go ahead and rank our stuff. So, as I said, this was based off a biography. As well as The Wolf of Wall Street was. So, and we know that the actor who played Seth was the medic in Saving Private Ryan. Did you also know that this guy is going to be in all of the Avatar sequels?
With Vin Diesel, right?
Yep, with Vin Diesel.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. So, this guy played the role of Seth, but initially, he was going to be played, due to Ben Affleck's suggestion, he's going to be played by Matt Damon. Yay, we like Matt Damon, but Matt Damon was about to star in The Bourne Identity, so he turned the role down.
And those are good movies, dude.
I haven't seen them, but clearly it was good for
I need
him.
to watch those together. Maybe we
career-wise.
can do it for SMS or something at some point.
Yeah. I also recommend you watch Mission Impossible. Hey, Brad Bird's first live-action movie was Ghost Protocol.
There you go. Everything ties in.
Now,
Dude. Everything ties in.
Now, here is the big fun fact here. You know how I said that Harry wasn't shown at all in any of these scenes? And the last scene we see him in is him having a nervous breakdown in the corner after his family leaves him and he has no money. What if I told you an alternate ending shows Harry storming the building fully loaded with guns seeking revenge?
That would have been great. That would have been a great ending. Just like a...
That's how the movie was originally ending. Then it was the FBI raid.
I would like it to cut too, like how, like, you know, on Resident Evil, which just was up, well, for us it hasn't gone up yet, but it will for listeners this past Sunday, how, like, it ends with, like, her, like, pumping the shotgun and, like, it pans out. I want him to come in, like, fully loaded, and it just them, like, all on the phone, like, and then they all stop, and it just shows him standing there with, like, a weapon or a gun or something, and it just pans out, like, and then it just cuts to credits. That would have been cool. That would have been dope.
Apparently this is on the DVD. You can watch it.
Oh.
So, yeah. So that is Boiler Room. Yay, yay, yay. Let's talk about how much, if we liked this movie, if we liked it. So, we already gave the movie rankings earlier. I'm not going to repeat them again. But we put Iron Giant at number 2. Saving Private Ryan is still number 1. So, how do we like this movie? Why don't you tell me?
I thought it was all right. I feel like the movie didn't, like, lacked, not saying it has to have one, but just I feel like it lacked, like, a message or some sort of like learning point, and I just feel like everyone was.
It's just all of this is fucked.
Yeah, everything
up.
is fucked up. Everyone's bad,
monsters.
except for like the mom and maybe the dad, even though he's kind of an asshole. I just felt like this movie was super toxic, but there was never any like I think the movie did an all right job at telling us that, like, yeah, don't be these people, but at the same time it wasn't as harsh enough where I think they could have done it. Like, yeah, they all got supposedly arrested by the FBI, like they never actually show it happening, but like I was just kind of like,
I think to your point, we know these people are bad because they're asshole dicks that are scamming people, and that, as a viewer that might not understand Wall Street all that well, might just assume is because they're doing all this stuff illegally and wrong, and not necessarily a takeaway being like, yes, actually, Wall Street are fucking mosquitoes.
yeah,
You know, that's all they are. You know what I mean? Like, I can see that being what they're really trying to say.
but they didn't do it
But
well.
it gets, I don't want to say it gets muddied up, but it's also the fact that, yes, this is super toxic masculine. And granted, I guarantee that was also Wall Street at the time. I don't think that was like this fantasy rendition of Wall Street.
I guess
you know?
going against myself, there was a couple of scenes where like they have JP Morgan there talking shit. So like it's all these like high masculine dudes who are like, yeah, I'm the best. I'm just a fucking millionaire. And it's just like, I mean, I feel like if this movie came out now, maybe it would have been done differently. And I mean, I guess Wolf on Wall Street, I haven't seen that, so maybe it does do this stuff. But like, just being more anti-Wall Street and just being like, yeah, all these guys are assholes. You shouldn't like anybody. And it's just not the illegal ones either. You know what I mean? But I guess that's what I want from the film. But overall, I just felt like the story, I was just like, okay, like, yeah, it makes sense to me that, yep, all these people suck. And
I think there were a lot of enjoyable performances.
Yeah.
I do think that there were moments where I was cheering for the bad things. Like, I was happy when he was making his sale. I was happy when he was, actually doing really well on the phones.
Yeah, I think the acting was good. I don't think anyone was bad at any moment. Like, no. Like, I mean, I thought there were some cheesy lines, but yeah, I just think that, like, I thought it was all right. I just felt like the acting was great, and I think that's what kept me invested. But if the acting was even below average, I probably would have just been like, whatever. Like, I just felt like the movie just didn't have. It was just telling a story of what happened, and then that was it. Like, there was no like crazy. Like, the ending wasn't that crazy. You know what I mean? Like, it's kind of like, yep, they got caught. Mm-hmm. Makes sense to me, And I don't know, I just wanted something more from it, I guess. But I think Vin did great in that, and I'm glad I watched it because I can say I watched this movie, but I don't think I'll ever watch this movie again.
Yeah, I probably wouldn't either, but I can also say that for a lot of the movies on our list so far. So let's get, I guess, to the ranking. Where do we want to put it? Or what are you thinking? Because we go Saving Private Ryan, The Iron Giant, Awakenings, Multifacial, and Strays.
I'm trying to take, like, my first thought was number 4 under Awakenings, but I'm just like, is it better than Multifacial and Strays? Like, only because of a production value? Like how it looks more like a Hollywood film than Multifacial and Strays does. Like, is the story that much better? I guess. I think so. But I can't really make an argument to say Multifacial is better either.
I think
it's slightly above Multifacial.
I agree.
I can't, like, I'm trying to think of reasons.
I liked Awakenings a lot more. Multifacial was 20 minutes of something we think is very, very good all around. But Boiler Room has a lot. I mean, it has Ben Affleck in it, and he's really good in this movie in the few scenes he's in. Some of the acting and performances, even the Vin Diesel stuff,
I would say
I think is just very good. Like, I think that alone makes it better than Strays and Multifacial. I don't think it reaches Awakenings though.
Awakenings is too good of a film. It's gonna be. I think we have our 3 top dogs right now, and like, I don't know if we're gonna top them until maybe Fast and Furious, or maybe
that's 2 episodes from now.
Even then, I don't know. I'm already after we both have already seen Fast and Furious, and I'm already telling myself I don't think they're gonna. I think those are gonna be our top 3 movies for a while, unless like
The Pacifier,
like blows our mind.
Or oh no, you keep fucking pimping or propping up Wheelman as this greatest video game of all time. So maybe you're gonna argue for his
you are
2009 film.
Shocked.
Whatever. Yeah, so I think it's safe to say it goes under Awakenings, above Multifacial.
Yeah, but barely.
Okay. So then the new ranking as of the end of this episode is for the overall movies themselves: number 1, Saving Private Ryan; number 2, The Iron Giant; number 3, Awakenings; number 4, Boiler Room; number 5, Multifacial; and number 6, Strays. I'm glad that it wasn't the 2 movies we did this episode next to each other. I'm actually kind of glad about that.
Yeah.
All right, so let's talk Vin Boy now. I think this is his best performance.
I think that monologue, like, if you took that monologue out, then we'd be having a bigger discussion here, but I think it just goes number 1.
I think if we took out that monologue,
it
would be closer to Saving Private Ryan. Now, granted, he has a lot more, even without that monologue, a lot more scenes, a lot more lines, and a lot more importance than his character Caparzo in Saving Private Ryan. But I still think that, like, he's still like a side character, but
that monologue was Hollywood. Like, that to me is like,
I forgot it was Vin Diesel. Like,
you know what I mean? Like, he
was a good actor.
Yeah.
And he looked like he was having fun. So are we unanimous on number 1?
I think so. I mean, okay. Yeah, 100%.
So our Vin Diesel performance ranking is: number 1, Boiler Room; number 2, Multifacial; number 3, Strays; number 4, The Iron Giant; number 5, Saving Private Ryan; and number 6, Awakenings. Hilarious that our top 3 best movies are our bottom 3 Vin Diesel rankings.
That is interesting. We'll have to keep an eye out on that in the future to see if that continues, that trend.
Yes. So, yes.
I mean, I think we're going to get like Fast 8 or Fate of the Furious. I think we're going to get those will both be, I think, around the same spot on the list, on their each list there. But we'll see. Oh,
I love Fate of the Furious.
That was good.
Yes, so next month, if you're listening to this on August 1st, you already know the answer. But yes, on August 1st, we will be discussing the movie Pitch Black, a.k.a. The Chronicles of Riddick.
I'm actually
Pitch Black.
legit excited.
Same. It's the first movie, I mean, besides Iron Giant, I guess, and Saving Private Ryan, but it's the first movie like, oh, I want to see this.
This is the Hollywood, like the Hollywood budget Vin Diesel film.
Vin Diesel movie,
Yeah.
yes. And also a 2000 year film. Now, there are two versions of this movie. There is the regular theatrical cut at 104 minutes, and then there is an unrated cut at 110. Both are on Amazon Prime Video.
Unrated, baby.
We are going to watch the unrated version. I feel like whenever we do one of these, unless some research suggests that the director's cut is wildly different, we are going to watch the longer version going forward. So we're going to watch the unrated version. You can stream it on Amazon Prime Video, and I'm sure it's also on DVD, and you can find it in other places, I'm sure, too. So that's what we're going to watch for next month. So how do we end the show? This is just this?
I don't remember. Have we done anything special for Vin? I don't think so.
Vin Diesel, we love you. We look forward to seeing more of your films. Have a happy day. Stay inside.
Wear a mask.
So you can find this podcast on a variety of podcast services. The overall podcast feed is called The Sonic Movie Show, which I'm sure you've already found. Chronicles of Diesel is just a subsection of that. So if you like to hear our voices talk about film and maybe even Sonic video games and other types of video
Various
games, like
topics,
potentially Final Fantasy VII, I think that would have gone up by the time this goes up, maybe? No, actually, no, it wouldn't. Sneak peek, we're doing a Final Fantasy VII Remake episode for Sonic Movie Show. That's on this podcast feed, so if you're already listening to this, you'll see the same episodes pop up. But it's on Apple iTunes, Spotify, Google Play Music, YouTube, Stitcher Radio, Pocket Casts, other places, I'm sure. If you like a place this podcast isn't on, let us know. Let us know on Twitter. The show can be followed at Sonic Movie Show. Myself, aka Ethan, is on Twitter at Ethan Absolutely. Devin over here is on Twitter at CURSONA YouTube. And let us know what you thought about these two films. Did you see either of these two films when they first came out? Is this your first time watching these two films? Let us know what you think. And do you think that Awakenings is going to be the bottom Vin Diesel power ranking for this entire series? Let us know. And we'll catch you next month on August 1st for the unrated cut of Pitch Black, The Chronicles of Riddick.
Holy shit, you slut, you made the call.
Yes, he says that too. Bye.
Bye.